October 1944, as World War II entered its most brutal phase, the Pacific Ocean became the focal point of fierce clashes between the United States Navy and the Imperial Japanese Navy. The Battle of Leyte Gulf, fought from October 23rd to October 26, 1944, was considered the largest naval battle in human history, far surpassing all previous sea engagements in scale. This battle not only determined the fate of Japan's forces in the Pacific, but also paved the way for the Allied forces to liberate the Philippines, bringing them closer to final victory in the war. After more than 3 years of being driven out of the Philippines, General Douglas MacArthur, Supreme Commander of the Allied forces in the Southwest Pacific area, fulfilled his famous promise, "I shall return." And he truly returned. With a powerful naval force consisting of hundreds of warships, aircraft carriers, along with air support and tens of thousands of American soldiers to recapture this strategic archipelago from the Japanese Empire. Meanwhile, Japan, gradually weakening after a series of defeats, was determined to make one final gamble, hoping to reverse its fate. They called this operation Shogo, Operation Victory, a bold, reckless, and also desperate plan. At the beginning of 1944, the situation in the Pacific War had completely tilted in favor of the Allied forces. After retaking the Mariana Islands, the U.S. Navy advanced close to Japanese territory, directly threatening the strategic defensive line of the empire. For Japan, the heavy losses in the Battle of the Philippine Sea in June 1944, where they lost almost their entire main carrier force, made the naval power balance between the two sides drastically unequal. Nevertheless, the Japanese General Staff still believed that if they could destroy the U.S. landing forces in the Philippines, they could delay the Allied advance and create conditions for negotiating an honorable peace. From this idea, they devised Operation Shogo, meaning victory, with 4 different operational plans, among which Shogo 1, the operation to recapture Leyte, was considered the main focus. According to the plan, the Imperial Japanese Navy would mobilize nearly all remaining forces, divided into 3 groups. 1, the Central Force, commanded by Vice Admiral Takeo Kurita, including heavy battleships such as Yamato and Musashi, along with numerous cruisers and destroyers. 2, the Southern Force, divided into 2 groups. The Western Group, led by Vice Admiral Shoji Nishimura. The Eastern Group, led by Vice Admiral Kiyohide Shima. 3, the Northern Force, commanded by Vice Admiral Jisaburo Ozawa, a decoy force composed of the remaining aircraft carriers, used to lure Admiral William Halsey's fleet away from the Leyte area. This daring plan relied on the element of surprise. While the Northern Force deceived Halsey, drawing his carriers away, Kurita's Central Force would slip through the San Bernardino Strait, unexpectedly attacking the American landing forces at Leyte from the rear. If successful, they could annihilate all U.S. troops on the island, destroy the plan to recapture the Philippines, and deliver a devastating psychological blow to the Allies. On the morning of October 24, 1944, Vice Admiral Takeo Kurita's Central Force entered the Sibuyan Sea, preparing to pass through the San Bernardino Strait to advance toward Leyte Gulf. This was the strongest force of the Japanese Navy, consisting of 5 battleships, 10 heavy cruisers, 2 light cruisers, and 15 destroyers. Among them, the most notable were the 2 massive battleships Yamato and Musashi, the pride of the Imperial Japanese Navy. Each ship had a displacement of more than 70,000 tons, equipped with 460mm main guns, the largest ever mounted on a battleship in history. However, from early dawn, Kurita's fleet was detected by American reconnaissance aircraft. Immediately, the aircraft carriers of the U.S. Third Fleet, under Admiral William Halsey, launched a series of air attacks against the Japanese fleet. For many hours, the skies over the Sibuyan Sea were filled with the roar of engines, exploding bombs, and the whistling of anti-aircraft fire. American pilots from the carriers USS Essex, USS Lexington, USS Intrepid, and USS Enterprise dove down in successive waves to attack. The battleship Musashi, despite its strong armor, became the main target of the dive-bombing squadrons. Throughout October 24th, the ship was hit by more than 17 bombs and 19 torpedoes. Each impact sent violent tremors through the hull. Japanese sailors fought to contain flooding and repair the damage, but seawater kept pouring into the compartments. By late afternoon, Musashi heeled heavily to port and gradually sank beneath the deep waters of the Sibuyan Sea. With more than 1,000 sailors dead, Musashi became one of the largest warships ever sunk in human history. Vice Admiral Kurita, though he survived after his cruiser Atago was sunk by torpedoes, saw the morale of his fleet severely shaken. Nevertheless, he decided to continue the voyage, with the goal of crossing the San Bernardino Strait at night and heading straight for Leyte Gulf. At dawn on October 25, 1944, after passing through the San Bernardino Strait during the night without being detected, Vice Admiral Takeo Kurita's Central Force entered the waters east of Samar Island in the Leyte Gulf area. Here, they unexpectedly encountered the U.S. Navy's Task Unit Taffy 3, a small group consisting of 6 escort carriers, 3 destroyers, and 4 destroyer escorts, commanded by Rear Admiral Clifton Sprague. This force was lightly armed, mainly tasked with providing air support for the landing troops at Leyte, completely unprepared for a direct confrontation with Japan's powerful battleship fleet. However, around 6 o'clock in the morning, American radar detected a series of large signals approaching. Within less than 10 minutes, massive water columns from the 460mm shells of the battleship Yamato began crashing into the sea around the American formation. The battle officially began. Under overwhelming enemy fire, Taffy 3 quickly fell into an extremely dangerous situation. Escort carriers such as USS Gambier Bay and USS Callinan Bay tried to turn around, retreating while launching aircraft to strike back. Although they carried no heavy bombs, American pilots still bravely attacked with torpedoes, machine gun fire, and even smoke bombs to protect their comrades. Meanwhile, U.S. destroyers, USS Johnston, USS Hull, and USS Heermann, despite their thin armor, courageously charged straight at the Japanese fleet. They launched all their torpedoes, fired every gun they had, trying to stop the steel monsters Yamato, Kongo, and Nagato. The battle became utterly chaotic. Thick smoke and gunfire covered the entire sea. Explosions, the sound of tearing metal, and cries for help blended together, creating a hellish scene in the middle of the ocean. The USS Johnston, under the command of Lieutenant Commander Ernest Evans, became a symbol of courage. Despite being hit multiple times and her hull torn apart, Evans resolutely fought to the end until the ship sank with most of her crew. After the war, he was posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor, and Taffy 3 was forever remembered as a heroic symbol of the United States Navy. The fierce and reckless resistance of this small force made Kurita believe he was facing a major U.S. fleet. Fearing encirclement and annihilation, he ordered a retreat, ending Japan's last chance to reverse the situation at Leyte. When the sun set on October 25, 1944, the smoke of battle still lingered over Leyte Gulf. But the outcome was clear. The Imperial Japanese Navy had been completely defeated. In 4 days of combat, they lost 4 aircraft carriers, 3 battleships, 10 cruisers, and 11 destroyers, along with more than 12,000 officers and sailors. The United States lost 1 escort carrier, 2 destroyers, 1 destroyer escort, and about 1,500 men, a much smaller number compared to the enemy's losses. More importantly, Japan would never again be able to restore its naval power. Most of its remaining warships were forced to stay in port due to lack of fuel, unable to go to sea. After the Battle of Leyte, the Japanese Navy completely lost control of the seas, which meant the Empire of Japan lost its ability to defend its territory and its supply routes. The Battle of Leyte Gulf marked the end of the Imperial Japanese Navy, a force that once terrified the world at the beginning of World War II. It also paved the way for the Allies to liberate the entire Philippines and move closer to the Japanese home islands. 3 months later, in early 1945, American forces landed on Luzon Island. By August of the same year, after 2 atomic bombs were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Japan announced its unconditional surrender. The war ended, and the Battle of Leyte Gulf was forever remembered as the largest, fiercest, and most decisive naval battle in human history. Historical significance: 1. Military. The Battle of Leyte proved the absolute power of aircraft carriers and naval aviation, ending the era of battleship dominance. This victory allowed the United States to completely control the strategic sea routes in the Western Pacific. 2. Strategic. The loss of the Philippines meant that Japan was completely cut off from oil and resource supplies from Southeast Asia. This was the turning point that led to the rapid collapse of Japan's economy and military power. 3. Spiritual. The battle off Samar Island, where small destroyers dared to challenge the massive battleship fleet, became a heroic symbol of courage and indomitable spirit. It showed that, in war, human bravery and willpower could change the outcome of a battle. Conclusion. The Battle of Leyte Gulf was not only a turning point in the Pacific War, but also the final epic of the battleship era. The thunder of the guns at Leyte closed a tragic yet glorious chapter in naval history and opened a new era of air power and advanced technology at sea.